Whether you keep them in your home or love to see them in theirs, these are the creatures that bring us all together.
Reptiles. We're going to be delving into the experiences of reptile lovers from around the block and around the world. This is the Reptile Talk Podcast. What's going on, everybody? I'm Jeremy Turgeon from Brassman Reptiles.
And I'm Rob, and I'm Keeping It Real, and we have a very special guest on our show tonight.
So stoked.
I'm super excited.
So freaking stoked. So if you paid any attention to what we do at New England Reptile, you know that we took a field trip down to Florida.
It was a work trip.
It was a work trip, field trip, fun trip, whatever. We made Kevin really jealous.
Yeah.
And we're kind of okay with that.
Yeah.
So we're super excited because we have the one, the only Savannah Boan from Gatorland with us. What's going on, Savannah?
Oh my gosh, I love you guys so much.
Yes, we're so excited to have you on here tonight.
Yay, I'm glad to be with you guys.
Hell yeah. So how are you doing tonight? How was your day today?
It was so great. Like, honestly, like, since we've closed and it's been a while now, like, every day has been. So we started to do this thing. I don't know if you heard about it.
Yes.
It's called School of Croc.
I've been watching. It's so cool.
So we were ready with that when it first happened. But, you know, sometimes things take off. And, of course, we hoped that we would be back open very soon. It didn't turn out that way. So, like, this thing, like, took off like wildfire. And all these kids are doing all this amazing stuff. Like, this family reenacts our vlogs, like our YouTube videos.
That's
and like
awesome.
The kids play different alligators in the park.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And the dad is always me. His name's Andrew, and he plays Savandrew, and he'll be like,
Savandrew. I love it.
Here, and like throw this stuffed rabbit, and then the kid comes up with like an alligator mask on. And he's like, rah rah rah.
That
it's
is
been
so
so much
awesome.
fun.
That's amazing.
So cool. So, like, growing up, were you always into alligators and reptiles and stuff, or was that something that you got into a little bit later on in your life?
I mean, I think I always loved them. Like, I saw them at Myrtle Beach, and I had read about them because I used to read a lot. Before I was so loud, like, I was very quiet as a smaller child. And so I used to read about them, and I was super fascinated with them. And, of course, like, you know, dragons and, like, lizards and things like that. So, yeah, all that stuff.
That's really cool. So, like, your journey through keeping reptiles and working in different places has led you to a lot of, all over the country and pretty much all over the world. And right now you're doing work at Gatorland Orlando in Kissimmee. Yep. And so what brought you to there? What got you into Gatorland?
Like, I always loved Gatorland. I applied for Gatorland for 7 years before I got to work there. Whew. And I was working at a really awesome place, you know?
Yeah.
And I was just trying because I knew Gatorland was like the best place in the world. And I think the first time I ever went there, I cried because I was so overwhelmed.
Yes.
I was like it's my like Wizard of Oz. It's like my Emerald City. It's like the best place I could ever imagine being. And it's such a great feeling just to be able to go there, especially right now.
Yes.
To see the differences in the animals since they don't see people as much. And, you know, they act a little different than they used to act. It's really fascinating to be able to watch all this, you guys. Like, it's so great.
That is interesting. What's like maybe like the biggest change that you've noticed in their behavior versus, you know, from now when the park is closed to when it was open?
Honestly, this is going to sound weird, but you guys can probably relate.
Okay.
They look at me different.
Yes.
Like,
oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Like the other night, I spent the night there. Like, I was locked down because we had moved some animals. And so I took this bicycle and I filled the bicycle basket with a bunch of meat, right?
Yeah.
So I was riding through the breeding marsh where you guys were with me, right?
Yeah.
And they were following me through the breeding marsh. And I would, like, follow me on the bike and I would ride really fast. And I was like, I'm going to ditch them around this next curve. And then they'd, like, go underneath the boardwalk and pop out the other side and pretend like they were a different alligator. And I was like, whoa, this is so scary.
That's so cool. That's amazing.
Yep. It was pretty awesome. Like, I don't know who gets to do fun stuff like that. I'm super grateful.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
That sounds like a childhood dream come true.
Literally.
If I ever heard one.
When I was
Yeah.
young, when I was growing up, like Gatorland was one of my favorite things to do. It was like that, and then camping. When my mom and my sister and myself would go camping, and I would just like catch frogs and snakes and go looking for crayfish and all that sort of stuff. That was awesome. And then when my family went on vacation to Florida, every single time we went to Gatorland, and that was the thing that I look forward to because I'm not big on amusement parks or like roller coaster rides or stuff like that. But when I got to go to Gatorland and see all the alligators and all the live animal shows and all those different things, that was the thing that like really got me excited about going on vacation, was to be able to go there and feed the alligators. Back in the day, they used to give you like trays of frozen fish.
Yeah.
So we used to like get the trays of fish and throw them in for the alligators into the big main pond and stuff. And like that was just something that always got me super, super excited when I was a kid, was going down to Gatorland. And then being able to come back recently and to see, all the different things you guys got going on there. It was just like nostalgic and exciting to see all the amazing things that you guys are doing down there.
Yeah.
Dude, and honestly, between me and you, Rob,
Yeah.
I think that experiences like that are what changed your life and like gave you the course that you're on right now.
100%.
Like, I definitely believe that. It's a magical enchantment you get from there.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's cool because like even when we were walking around and, we're talking to you and I'm just kind of like casually watching people who are walking around the park, and you could see those kids are just excited to be there and just like, spellbound by all the different things that they were seeing. It's hard to not see that and see it going on and just like get excited about it. And that's just something that I think is really, really freaking
Yeah.
cool.
I'm still geeking out about feeding that saltwater crocodile. Like,
Dude, that was crazy, right?
I forgot what I was doing the other day, but the video that we put up from Gatorland came up, and I was like, I gotta watch that again.
Yes.
I gotta watch,
Like when
that was, oh my gosh, that was.
When you're up there, Jeremy, and you're looking down at him and you're knowing like there's not that much distance.
But
And you
right.
see when his face looks at you and you make eye contact, like it will make your bones shudder.
Yep.
Like it's a scary feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, but oh my gosh, I'm smiling like hella hard right now just thinking about it again.
It was, if you had told me as a kid that I would have gotten to experience that, I would have been like, nope, you're lying.
Yeah.
You're a liar.
Yeah.
Like I had
No.
all these ambitions and all these like goals. Oh man, I want to work with reptiles. I want to do all these things. But to get a chance to like go in and spend time with those animals and see how amazing they are, and the work that you guys are doing with station training them, that blows my mind.
Yeah, 100%.
Like when I was growing up, I just was like, oh, alligators, they got like a little tiny brain. They're they're kind of dumb. Or they're big, strong animals that just kind of work on instinct. And then seeing all the training that you guys have put into them, like really just will change your mind completely of how you're looking at them.
Yeah, it does. Like being there, and granted, it's a different situation than what a wild alligator would have, but like watching the differences and how they behave, and like seeing how, like, because my friend that runs the crocodile sanctuary in Jamaica, he always says this. So he's been taking care of American crocodiles his whole life, right? He used to have one named Brutus, and he could sit and have his coffee with it in the morning in the swing zone, never any problem. And this was a wild crocodile. He didn't raise it up. So he always says, like, okay, so alligators, like, they breed, and they need food, and they need territory, right? So those are the three things. Well, if you've given them all those three things, like, they don't have to consistently be thinking about those three things. Like, what do they think about then?
That's an interesting way to think about it. Yeah.
What do they think about then? Maybe they think, oh, here comes that thing on the bike. Tonight we got her. Tonight's our night, guys.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So as you've come to Gatorland and you have pushed that social media presence with them, what have you noticed when it's come to the park? Have you noticed that there's more people coming from your YouTube channel and checking things out? You get a lot of people that are from far away and just like super excited to be there. Well, how has that kind of changed for you as you've developed it and worked there?
I mean, it's changed in a lot of different ways, and there are lots of people that are coming from YouTube and all of those things, and the people that are kind of there's different kinds of people in the world, but every probably about 10th person has like this little like little spark in their eye where they're like, this moment in my life has changed it completely, just like you had when you were there, and just like I had when I was the first time there. Like that little bit of that like changes the way a person thinks about conservation and changes the way a person thinks about everything for the rest of their life,
So true.
And you guys do a lot with conservation work there. We were just talking with Ryan and just talking about the different ways that these facilities like Gatorland and like zoos, how they're working with conservation and preservation of these species. That's so critical and important for the survival of these animals. And I feel like if people get the chance to see these animals in person and get to experience them, it really makes them want to save it. It's like kind of like Steve Irwin was saying, if people can see these animals, they can, have this feeling towards them that I need to save this animal. I need to help do what I can to protect this thing. And when people used to look at alligators and crocodiles, they would think, oh, it's this nasty giant lizard that's just gonna kill, it's just a mindless killing machine. But then when you see you're calling alligators over by name specifically and they're swimming right over to you, that blew my mind. I'm not gonna lie, that was just so interesting to me, because none of the rest of them would even turn at all. They would just completely ignore it. But when you call out that one specific one's name, boom, it came right over to you.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like the first time it happened to me, I was definitely, because I was the first girl that worked in the back with the crocodiles consistently. So like when they first started reacting to my voice, instead of me having to talk like a man, because that's what I had to do when I went there, I'd have to be like, like that. But then when they first reacted to my real voice, I was like, yes, achievement.
Right.
Like, yes, they know me now.
That's so awesome. Oh my gosh. And so you guys are also doing a lot of stuff. So I know we're talking about alligators primarily, but you guys are also doing a lot of stuff with some endangered species and some rare species like the Cuban crocs,
right?
And stuff like that. So what's the breeding program that you guys have with the Cuban crocs there? Those are being brought back into the wild, or are those staying in the U.S.?
We don't have a relationship politically with Cuba that way now. Ultimately that's always the goal. Ultimately it's always the goal to have the animal back in its own ecosystem thriving. So our partners in Cuba that we work with, they have a breeding facility in Cuba and they do releases. Actually, had this madness all not started, I probably would have already been to Cuba this year, but because of everything that's going on, it's made that kind of impossible. I missed a trip to India to work with the muggers and the Gharial because of this. And I'm not complaining. I'm just glad I'm healthy, but whatever.
Right.
So anyway, yeah, that's what I was thinking. but I couldn't have just slid in there because I love mugger crocodiles. Mugger crocodiles are they're like the alligator of crocodiles, except for they eat humans. So I really was excited about that.
I don't know, man, gharials to me were always such an otherworldly animal. When I saw pictures of them in books and stuff, I was like, that thing doesn't you look at a saltwater crocodile, you're like, oh yeah, it's a crocodile. You look at an alligator, like, oh, that's it. You look at a spectacled caiman, you're like, okay, I get it. And then you look at a gharial and you're like,
what happened?
Whoa, what is this thing? It's it's not from this planet. It's so different. And oh man, they've always just absolutely fascinated me ever since I was little.
Because they're fascinating. Because here's the thing. Okay, so all this time, just like you were saying earlier in the interview, we've been thinking that they're only mindless machines, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So when I went to Australia, I got to find out about all this research that's going on, right? And I don't know the ins and outs of it because I'm not a fancy scientist.
Me either.
If you thought I was a fancy scientist, I'm here to tell you that I'm not.
We just love these animals.
That's right.
They're doing these sound waves. They have this container and they have crocodiles in it, and they have the sound waves so fine tuned that they can tell the difference between a frog or a fish jumping just by the waves of the sound. And what they found is the big male crocodiles put out a pulse, right, when they're moving, and then the females have a responding pulse, but they don't know if the pulse is responding to him or if it's letting the next girl know, hey, you better move out of the way. Someone's this way right now. So like they're fine tuning all that. So they have a language. We've only just tapped the surface of what they were probably talking about us the whole time we were there. They were probably like, look at them. Let's bellow loud. Let's see what they do.
And we're all like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
It's incredible.
That's amazing.
That is really cool.
That really is. It's so incredible to me that, I mean, you'd think that the biggest animals are some of the animals we'd want to study first,
right?
Just because it's like, hey, it's big. I can see that.
Yeah,
I should go study that. And yet, here we are, how many decades into crocodilian research, and still are learning such, like, for them, a fundamental thing.
Yeah.
But to us is like totally like groundbreaking research. Like, damn.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's going to change how people look at those animals for the rest of eternity.
Yeah.
It has to. Like, it really has to. And you know what I wonder more than anything? If, like, crocodiles from Africa have a different accent than crocodiles from Australia.
I love that.
100%. Yes. If they don't, I'm upset.
Like, I wonder if there's, like, a base language, but then there's, like, slang within the languages.
Yes.
And
that would be
that
amazing.
makes me wonder if places like Gatorland, if they're, like, vibing off all the different kinds of, sounds that are coming from all the other crocodilians.
I think so for sure. I know that when we moved in a New Nile, that when we moved in the New Nile, then the salties that were nearby started breeding and getting super more active. So I do see it when we move animals around. I definitely can see it with my own two eyes.
That's really cool.
That's crazy.
So they must have some sort of like base kind of understanding of,
what's going on.
Yeah, what's going on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Something's always going on. Something's always going on. We just don't know what it is. That's why I can watch them for hours, because my brain is picking up on something going on. I just don't have the word for it yet.
Yeah. I think that's super interesting, and that's something that's just starting to come to the forefront across the animal keeping industry right now, because I was listening to a different podcast called the Aquarius Podcast, and they had a guy on there who does scientific naming and all this different stuff, and he does research on different cichlids and different fish from around the world, and he's talking about these fish that are from Africa, and for the last 30 or 40 years, they all thought they were all the same species. And then they are finding out now that the fish have UV receptors in their eyes, so that when they're following this one fish around, they'll see that the females that it'll breed to, but it's not breeding to the other females that look identical to us, like the same species, stuff that we would consider all the same species. But to them, they can tell completely the difference because of those UV reactions in their scales. And and that's something that we never, like,
that's crazy.
50 years ago, people would be like, shut up, they're the same thing. And it's like, now that we're starting to look deeper beyond what just our eyes can see and what our ears can hear, we're learning all these different things that, like, would never have been on the radar 30 years ago,
That's amazing.
It's so great.
I can't wait to see where it goes.
Yeah.
It's like we're all getting super smart.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
and realizing how simple we are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that podcast it blew my mind, because they were talking about in the wild, the fish will not breed with other species. Like they will only breed with their species, even if they have like such a high concentration of fish in that area that there's multiple different species that to us all look the same, but to them all look very different. And in the wild setting, they'll never interbreed. They'll never hybridize. But if you take them and collect them in captivity and you put one male with a bunch of different species of females in a confined setting, he will hybridize with all those different females because of the scarcity thing.
That's crazy.
So it's like forced to not lose the biodiversity.
Yeah, but in the wild, they've never found them hybridizing in the wild. They all stay very pure to their species. That
That's
absolutely
crazy.
blew my mind. I listened to that episode of that podcast 8 times because I was like, "There's no way how am I not understanding this right now?" But it's just it's fascinating.
We just don't know so much.
Yeah,
it's so true, especially when it comes to aquatic stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like, We're like, I can only hold my breath for so long. I don't care about what's down there just yet.
But I think that has to do with like the crocodilian stuff because like, you know, back 50 years ago, if you said, hey, I want you to sit and follow these crocodiles and study them, most people would be like, that thing wants to kill me. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, right.
But now people have this, there's like more people that have this drive, like Savannah, who've got this drive to learn more about these animals and, you know, to study them and figure out what's going on. That's just like super exciting to me.
Yeah.
It is to me too. And honestly, I think we know a lot more. People just aren't patient, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have any problem. Like, I was in Cuba and I was watching crocodiles for 3 hours straight before somebody came over. 3 hours straight and not talking to another human being till somebody came over and they were like, what are you doing? Why have you been here for 3 hours?
Yeah.
You're like, why aren't you over here looking at this thing?
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, I saw fights, I saw territory battles, I saw different kinds of hissing, I saw different postures. Like, I saw so many things in that little bit of time. I saw one crocodile go around the whole entire lagoon and fight every single male.
Wow.
Every single one.
Sheesh.
And then I got to watch him the rest of my trip there. And his name is Macho now, and he is the boss of all. He is the boss of all Cuban crocodiles, and all he has to do is walk up, and everyone runs. Everyone runs.
Wow.
That is incredible.
So I want to know, it could be from your time at Gatorland or your time in the field, what's been the craziest thing that you've seen with working with crocodilians? Like, behavior-wise or something where you were just like, I didn't know that could happen.
Well, I'll tell you, I saw Matt Wright do some things that I've never seen in my life before. And that was just recently, and that's probably why it's the first thing to come to mind. Like, I saw him touch a wild saltwater crocodile on the nose. Like,
wow.
What?
It was nothing. And I was like, what the heck is happening right now? And like, I was really, because I'm a big fan of his, like, I was really trying not to fan out, but I couldn't at that point.
Yeah.
I was like, how are you doing that? How are you doing that? How are you doing that? How are you doing that?
Tell me, teach me your ways.
Yeah.
Like, it was blowing my mind. Like, it was absolutely blowing my mind. Like, I've never seen anything like that before in my life.
That's crazy.
And yeah, that was really crazy. And then, let me think. I don't know. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff. Like, I've seen people walk in swing zones and touch crocodiles where I'm like, okay, this person's about to get bit. I'm going to just get my camera ready.
Yeah.
You know? and then nothing happened and just be like, what the heck?
Oh, man.
Like, I don't know. People have different relationships with animals, I think. And granted, you never can trust them completely. But, like, you guys know, like, working with monitors, how smart they are. And nobody knows how smart they are. And,
yeah.
you know.
When we had visited Tom Crutchfield's place, he was telling us this story that, you know, years and years and years and years ago, they had a pond with some crocodiles in it in their yard.
Oh, yes.
And him and his wife, I think he said, he had gone out to the grocery store just real quick, but he had left his kids at home. They were like 10 to 13 years old. And he had gone to the grocery store, and for whatever reason, the grocery store didn't have what they had needed. They ended up coming back home earlier than they typically would have. And they come in, open up the door to the house, and the house is empty. Like, completely empty. And they're like, okay, where are the kids? Because usually the kids are causing a ruckus.
Yeah.
And he is walking around the house, looking, and he looks out his kitchen window, and the kids are swimming with the crocodiles. And he's like, you know, as a parent, that's like, panic just overcomes you, and he runs out into the yard, and the kids are like, damn, we're caught.
We got caught.
And they're in the water with the crocodiles, and they're like, what are you doing? And they're like, we've been doing this all summer. We've just been hanging out with the crocodiles, and for whatever reason, they just had that bond that, like, I don't know what would have prompted them to go and swim with those crocodiles, but they had been doing it all summer, and those crocodiles had not harmed them at all. They were literally just in the water hanging out with those kids. And it's like, that sort of stuff just blows my mind. Like, absolutely blows my mind.
That's pretty mind-blowing. I mean, I'm not doubting that it's possible, but I definitely know that it's not the norm. Like, you know, you guys met Dundee when we were there, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I always think that Dundee and I have a relationship that's different than any other relationship because I'm a human, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had Ron Whitaker came to visit, and I was showing him, like, look at Dundee, like look what we do together, and we like sit here and blah blah blah, and I was all happy, and he was like, Savannah, there's no doubt in my mind that the two of you have a relationship. The thing is, you don't know what his terms are of your relationship. And I've seen too many dead bodies to encourage that. And I was like, what?
That puts everything into perspective.
Yeah.
It does, right? Like, I mean, you could have a relationship that's going great until you do one thing wrong, and you don't know what the one thing wrong is.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So until then, like, until and maybe, I don't know as much as some people. Like, there are lots of people that know lots more than me. I mean, what I saw Matt Wright do, I thought was impossible. But I saw him do it in the most, like, nonchalant sort of, I've done this a million times way. And I was just like, what the heck is going on here?
And I get people who say that same stuff, like when they see some of our water monitors, and then like when we got to see Tom's croc monitors, like that sort of stuff. Until you see it happening in front of you, it's hard to believe. It's hard to like grasp. Like you can see it in video all day long, but if you're sitting there seeing it right in front of you, it's like, how is this happening right now?
Yeah. It's different when you're there, and it's different because you can feel the energy there,
Yeah.
Like I could feel the energy in that moment, and like, like I'm trying to be cool because I didn't want to be like fangirl, and then all this stuff started happening, and then I started getting loud because I get loud and I get excited, and then I think everybody was kind of like, what the heck is wrong with her? And I was like, oh my God,
are you guys not seeing this?
Crocodile.
Yeah,
yeah. And I don't know that people in another country know how to deal with that, but
they're like, oh, we remember Savannah. Oh man, but I loved that. Like, the three of us were talking for, I don't know, however long the drive was to get down to South Florida after leaving Gatorland. That like your energy in the park with the animals, like that,
it was unique.
It was so amazing because like we were already having an amazing time, but the energy level that you brought us to was like, it just made the entire experience that much more positive and that much more just fucking awesome.
Yeah,
like
absolutely amazing. Like, that's something I'll
remember.
Well,
and you guys were so happy when you got there, and I could tell how genuinely excited you were. And you don't know how many people that come there are just like, yeah, I used to do this with the crocodile, or yeah, I can do like if when I go to places, I'm going there to enjoy the relationships that they have with their animals. Like when I come see you guys, like I'm very excited to see you guys work with your animals, and because that's an amazing thing, and I don't get to see the stuff that you guys do every day, so I don't want to tell you about what I'm doing. I want to watch what you're doing so I can learn from you. And you guys, I could tell you guys are so excited, and it was so like authentic, and I was like, yes, these guys are gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
like we're gonna have so much fun.
and you know what? I think that's something that everyone can learn from listening to you talk and from listening to this, is that even if you think you know everything, there's something you can learn from everyone.
100%.
And I think that's one of like the biggest problems with the reptile hobby, is that people feel like, oh, I've done this before, so there's nothing I'm going to learn from you. Or like, I've worked with alligators before, so if I go to Gatorland, I'm not going to see anything like unique. And it's like, no, that's
inaccurate.
Inaccurate. It's just a lie. Like, and even if you have worked with animals, for a really long time, I've worked with a bunch of the animals at Nerd a lot. Some of our, like we just put out a video with one of my favorite monitors, Lorelei, and she is like my baby. When I go into her enclosure, she like comes right over to me and like rubs her head all over me and like loves being like around me and on me. But every single time I go in there, it's different. Just seeing the way that her energy is that day and how she's interacting with the other monitors in there, it's just so different. And if you go into an experience, there's some people who show up even at Nerd, and they're like, oh, I've seen this, so like you're not gonna show me anything cool. And it's like, if you go into an experience with that mindset, you're probably not gonna have a good time. But if you go in there thinking, hey, look, this is something that I can grow from, There's
Right.
so many cool things that can go on.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And you also don't, even if you've worked with animals for a long time, you don't know those animals.
Yes.
Right.
You know,
And that's a big thing.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. I mean, if we think about an alligator like Blackwater versus like our alligator Wally, two
Yes.
totally different alligators.
Very different alligators.
Two totally different alligators. You know, both workable, you know, and both generally having positive experiences, but also two very different freaking alligators.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's funny to show people, or not funny, but it's like interesting to me to show people the dwarf caiman that we work with up at Nerd, because we put a lot of time into working with them and handling them. So our babies are pretty laid back, and you know, they'll pretty much just sit right in your hand. And our adults are even to the point where you can, you know, pick them up and hold them, and they don't panic, they don't lose their minds. Like a lot of people, I know if you've had experience with dwarf caiman, a lot of people say they're like some of the nastiest crocodilians. Like they're just so quick to bite and react defensively.
But don't you think a lot of that's because people underestimate caiman, man?
Oh yeah,
True.
huge,
So true.
100%. They're like, oh, it's small, I can just manhandle this thing. It's like,
Right.
you don't understand how explosive they can. Like they're so strong for their size.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're exactly right. Caiman are crazy like that, and everybody has to know their own animals. You know,
Yeah,
like
Right.
you guys know your animals better than anybody because you see them every day.
exactly.
Like
Right.
you know, and I don't know all of our animals that well, but when I need to work with other ones, I go find the person who does, and I'll be like, hey, could you get Buster to come do this? And they'll be like, yeah. Like he's not going to do it for me, and I don't need to push that relationship on to him. You know,
Yeah.
Right.
he's got somebody that he likes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can't wait to have you up here to show you some of the stuff that we're working
Yes,
with.
100%.
Me
100%.
too.
I
Me
also
too.
want Kevin to have his hair out.
Yes.
So
Have his what?
have his hair out. Kevin always has his hair in a very tightly braided ponytail,
Mm-hmm.
and I want him to be just as zany and extra energetic as possible.
You cannot get him to be energetic,
I-
but you could.
You know, I don't know. You wave like, I don't know, a fancy ball python at him, and it might get him excited.
It's not going to get him excited. But I know that Kevin is super excited to meet you, and he
Yeah.
is like really, really like he was excited to see the footage that we got from Gatorland and to potentially, you know, come down and visit you guys. I know that he's geeked out about coming to check
He is
that
geeked
out.
out about that. One of the first things he said to me when we got back was, "So that leucistic alligator, that was nice."
Well, I'll tell you guys a top secret, and I'm not for sure yet, but
Okay.
both of the females in both of the leucistic alligators are super swollen in their belly. Now, I know everybody's not eating as much, and if they did lay eggs, it would be their first clutch, so who knows what happens. But
Yeah.
Ooh.
they both look really chunky.
Yes, that
like that.
is super exciting.
I like me a chunky gator.
So I saw on your on the Gatorland, I don't know if it was on your story or on the Gatorland story. It looked like you guys had a crocodilian nesting recently.
We did. Our big American crocodile, her name's
Yes.
Pretty Croc. We had watched her for days, and a weird thing was happening. Like every time she would dig, like the male would come up there, and I couldn't understand what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was watching it, and it was getting dark, and like I would see him like try to get her off the nest, and I wasn't really sure. And so I called a bunch of my friends. I was like, "Why is this happening? Like, why is he doing this?"
Yeah.
And you know, they were like, "Well, maybe he has a little leftover testosterone." And I was like, "Oh, well, that makes sense. That makes sense." So finally, he left her alone. She dug her nest. She laid her eggs. We got her eggs, no problem. Like she wasn't like super defiant or anything. She actually just went in the water and kind of sat.
That's cool.
And we got the eggs, and they're all in the incubator, and we'll see what happens next.
That's
Is
awesome.
that the same one that had nested inside the tree, or is that a different one?
No, that's a different one.
Okay.
That's a different one.
That's
She
cool.
nested under the tree because she's a hole digger, and the one that nested in the tree, I think she's a hole digger too. That's weird. So yeah, but the one nested under the tree, the American crocodile, and which is kind of early for her to be laying eggs too.
Yeah.
But whatever, we'll take them.
Yeah, right, exactly. Any croc egg is a good croc egg, as long as it's
Yeah.
viable.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll see. There were a couple light bulbs in there when we checked the other day, but hopefully something comes out.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's awesome.
Yeah, our alligator Wally laid eggs last year and the year before, but she's never been with a male. So she was just throwing duds.
Yeah.
So why don't you just put them in the incubator anyways?
We did. We incubated them. Eventually they all went bad. I've heard of Partho in a bunch of different parthenogenesis in a bunch of different things. But I was hopeful, but after a month or so in there, they started getting moldy and everything. So I was like, that's a bummer.
I mean, I think just still keep doing it. That's what I do. Like if I have any of ours that lay eggs, or maybe drop them in the water or something like that, I always put them in the incubator till I know for sure that nothing could have happened.
Yeah. So especially if they have like super weak vein systems that are just like I can't tell. Yeah. Don't waste it.
When Nerd had bred their dwarf caiman for the first time, I think it was like 8 or 9 years ago. I was actually there when the female laid her eggs. And
no way! Wait! Tell me about that because I don't know about dwarf caiman breeding. Do they make a nest?
They do make a nest. But since this was her first time breeding, she was about 12 years old or so. I think. No, hold on. They're about 27 right now, so she was like 18. And they didn't realize that she was pregnant, so she actually dumped all her eggs in the water. Oof. And they were all too late to be saved because I wasn't working at Nerd at the time. I was just visiting. I used to come up and volunteer and like clean tubs and just like take a look at everything that they had going on and just clean and feed things. But I had gone into the room with the caiman and she had dumped all her eggs in the water, and I was like, those eggs don't look like chicken eggs and why would they be feeding chicken eggs to the caiman? So I go grab Kevin and I'm like, hey, the dwarf caiman, are there supposed to be eggs in with the dwarf caiman? Because she's got it looks like caiman eggs that are in there. And he's like, what? Grabs me, runs down to the room. We got to get them all out of there. So we're pulling the big caiman out of the enclosure. We pull the eggs out, and we start to candle them. And they had already been rotating in there, so they were like waterlogged, and they weren't any good. And he was like, I didn't realize that they were old enough to start cycling now, but they were like ones that he had raised up, so he didn't realize how old they had been getting.
Yeah.
And so after that year, he paid really close attention to them and just like watched what the female's weight was doing. And when he would see that she was starting to look like she was building up to get to the point where he thinks that she'd be laying eggs, we've got a room in our facility that's called our cave room. And the floor is like 6 inches deep of substrate, and it's got like dirt and cypress mulch and peat moss and all this stuff like compiled in there. But it's meant to look like the inside of a cave. So like it's got cages inside the walls with strip lighting in them, and we've got 4-foot cages and 8-foot cages in there, and we got like a little alligator thing for like our small like little baby alligators and stuff. But what we'll do is when she was getting ready to lay her eggs is we would take her and put her in that room with a water basin so that she can build her nest. So what she would do is she would, when she was getting ready to actually deposit her eggs, is one of the 4-foot cages is pretty much at floor level. It's like maybe 4 or 5 inches up off the ground. And what she would do is she would dig all the dirt and cypress mulch up into that enclosure and basically make a nest inside the enclosure. And she'd deposit her eggs in the back of the enclosure underneath all the dirt. And then as soon as she had deposited the egg, she'd build all the dirt as high up as she could get up into the enclosure. And then she'd sit right at the edge of the enclosure and defend that nest.
Yeah.
So the next year, he had caught her right at the perfect time, set her up in the room. She was in there for like a week of nesting before she actually deposited the eggs. And then he could go in there, remove her out of the situation. But she's feisty. She's like 4 or 4.5 feet long. So she is like high energy, full defense mode. I'm a big mama. Leave my eggs alone. And so she was just like, she's on point when it comes to that. And so every year since then, we've been doing that. And last year we got, I think, 14 eggs from her or 15 eggs from her. And so every year she builds a nest up in that room, we shut that room down for the week or 2 weeks that she's in there. We don't bring tours in there. We put a big sign on the door that says, leave her alone. We have our lights on a cycle. And so she just kind of gets to do her own thing in there and doesn't get messed around with. And it's like 3.5 months incubation before the babies start actually hatching out.
That's so cool.
It's awesome. So cool. I wish that I want to have you up before we have more babies, but if I could get you up here when they're starting to hatch out,
yes.
It's so exciting. It's so exciting.
Yes. Yes, I'm always down for the hatching. I don't care how many times I see it; it will make me equally as excited as the first time I saw it.
Like this year was the first year that I got to like catch the whole hatching because usually I'm there like a couple days afterwards, or like I see them after they're already out of the egg. But this year I was like haunting the incubator, just staring at them like, oh, okay, it's like 3 months. I gotta check the incubator every morning before I start my work. I gotta go check on those eggs. And one morning I like cracked open the incubator and I hear. And I was oh my god, it's happening! But they hadn't hatched out yet. They were making the noise while they're still in the egg. And so I was like geeking out. I go wait, like Kevin's already awake, but I go like grab him. I'm like, the babies, the caiman, it's happening. He's like, it's okay. I heard them last night. It's going to take a while. We're cool. And I was like, no, they're making noise. We got to go do it. So I was sitting in there geeking out and like opening up the container and I can hear which egg is making the noise. And I'm like, oh, geeked out. And so our camera, you met Donnie, our camera guy. He comes in. Yeah. I'm like, dude, we got to get ready. The baby's going to start hatching out. And he's like, no, we're cool. We're cool. So I bring him into the room. I set him up on the cart. And Kevin's like, in there and he's making noise to him. And they're making noise back to him. And I'm like, oh man! And one of the other employees had come in, and is like, and they're looking at the eggs, and Kevin's like, get out of here! They got to imprint on me. It's got to be me. And
right.
I was like, oh my god. Okay, so Kevin goes, grabs his phone, and he's off going and doing something else. So I'm in the room just with our camera guy, and I'm like, man, I want to see one hatch out. I'm like super excited, and we're sitting there. And I step out of the room for a second, and then I hear Donnie go, holy crap! And I'm like, what happened? Are you okay? And he's like, one just hatched out right now. And I run in the room, fling the door open, and there it is. It's just sitting right on top of the other eggs making noise. And I'm like, where's Kevin? Kevin's got to get in here. And I'm like geeking out.
It's the coolest thing.
I picked that one up, and as soon as I touched that one, like another one sticks its head out. And I was like, it's happening! It's happening! And like, that was like so exciting just to see those little guys like popping out, their little faces coming out, like making noise and everything. Oh,
that's magic.
Oh my god, that's
really
so great.
Magic.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. And here's the thing: if you ever get to the point in your career where that's not exciting anymore, you should just quit.
You gotta quit.
Yeah, 100%.
Just be done.
100%. Yeah, go away.
Yeah,
go away.
But literally, I want to have you up before then, but then when we get close to hatching, I do want to have you up again so we can try and get that magic going, because that's like the most exciting thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that sounds so exciting. I would love to see that.
It's just
now, sound... I want baby caiman. Damn it, Rob.
The sound that they make is so different compared to the Cuban croc that you had. Because you're talking about the sound that the Cuban make was like high and tinny, but these guys are definitely like deeper and kind of more alligator-y almost.
Well, I wonder how teeny they are compared to like a little baby crocodile hatching out. Like that's what I want to see, how teeny.
They are so tiny. They're like 6.5 inches long total, like 7 inches maybe.
Yeah.
They're itty bitty. They're so cute.
Oh, I can't wait to see that. That's so exciting. I'm so excited now.
And it's so cool. I don't know if the Cubans are like this too, but when they first hatch out, the ridge along their tail, like they have the two little ridges on the side, like right towards the base of the legs. That's actually like folded down.
Yeah. Weird, right?
And then over like the next couple weeks, it starts to like stand up and actually becomes like a ridge. It's so weird.
Yeah,
to me.
it looks like a kink, like when you hatch a snake and it's a kink in it. You're like, oh no.
Yeah.
And then it gets right.
Yeah, it's so weird. It was just like probably top 5 coolest things that I've done.
Is
when
that
it comes
in
to
one
reptiles.
of your YouTube videos?
It is. Yeah,
we
have one of the YouTube videos. Of
What's
those
the name of it?
Oh boy. That's Donnie.
I'm
Donnie would have named it something horrible.
I'll find it and I'll have to text you the
link.
link.
We'll text it to you. Yeah.
Yeah, text me a link. I want to see that.
It's so cool.
It's freaking awesome. Babies just fucking rule.
I mean, baby animals rule. It's like hatching out dinosaurs, man. Like
seriously,
really is.
Human babies, whatever. Like,
that's cool. Good for you.
Yeah, right.
But baby crocodilians, that's a whole nother level.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Dude, and like the baby Cubans, when they hatch out, they immediately start fighting. The
Really?
American crocodiles, when they hatch out, they don't start fighting. Right?
Really?
They just kind of lay around. But I will tell you this: when I just learned this in Australia, baby salties, when they come out, they don't try to bite you. Baby freshies are psychos, and they go crazy. And I hatched out baby freshies, and they started fighting like Cuban crocodiles the second they were breathing. Like, it was the craziest
Really?
thing I've ever seen. I was like, why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? They're just freshies. I don't understand.
Oh man.
Yeah, the baby dwarf came in. They're usually pretty cool with each other, unless like you spook them. If you go in and like stick your hand in there and you scare them, some of them will start biting each other. But for the most part, you can put them all in a bin together and they're chill.
They're pretty
cool.
chill, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so great.
Itty bitties.
I can't wait to see.
Yeah, they're now I friggin' want baby things to hatch. Shit.
I think that she usually nests around September. Which puts babies hatching out around Christmas, January.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I think that's right around.
You just keep me in the loop and let me know.
Oh,
like,
I will.
The whole month of December, I can't go anywhere though.
Okay.
Okay.
But
so we'll keep
after
them in
that
the
for
eggs.
sure.
Yes.
We'll keep them inside the egg.
I mean, if they come out, you can always FaceTime me and be like, "Look what's happening
This is
right
true.
now."
That is 100% what we'll do.
Yes.
I'm down.
And I'll
with
be
that.
equal. I won't be as excited if my eyes saw them, but I would be super excited if all of a sudden, "Look, they're coming out of the egg."
It's just like, I don't know how to describe it to people. If you haven't seen them hatching out, it's amazing.
Well, and you know, it's a miracle. It's a miracle in the world that you got to see that with your own two eyes.
Right.
You know, the fact that we can filter that through to the public is a whole different story. But when you get to see it and you get to hear it and you get to feel the slime coming out of the egg and like, you get to see them take their first breath and like it's just, you can't, like, National Geographic can't do nothing as for some of the stuff I've seen.
Literally.
So true.
Yeah.
It's so true.
And you know what? If you had told me as a kid that I'd be doing that, I'd be like, that's not real.
Yeah, right, exactly. You can't do that.
I'm not one of those people. I'm not a David Attenborough.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh.
But you know, the people like us that have, you know, maybe we don't have the same education level and stuff like that as like your David Attenborough or, you know, several other people like, but we've had to work twice as hard.
We're
you
getting
know,
there. Yeah.
To just get to have these conversations that we're having right now. You
So
know,
true.
and I think the reward is different from that than would be the reward had you gone a different route. You know,
100%.
Yep.
it's like crab legs. Crab legs aren't that good. It's the fight to get to the meat that makes it good.
It's about the trip to get there. That's what.
I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh.
So, I don't even know where to go from there. That's like
I just want baby animals right now.
we're
That's
gonna have
all
stuff
I
hatching
ever
out
want to
soon.
do.
We'll have stuff. You're gonna have stuff hatching out soon.
I know. Oh, that's true. I do have a clutch of jungle carpets due in like 2.5 weeks. So
Adorable.
I am pretty excited for that.
I'm excited to see your mangrove snakes. I have to tell you,
Yes.
I don't know if you guys knew this, but they're like my favorite thing almost in the world.
Yes.
Yes. We have how many clutches of mangrove? do we
3
have
or
right
4
now?
clutches that are incubating right now.
Does that include the melanota or just the divergence?
We got 1 clutch of divergence or 2 clutches of divergence, and then 2 clutches of melanota.
Ugh, that wait is annoying.
Yeah,
because it's a
long.
colubrid. So you're like, this should only be 60 days, and they're like 105.
Well,
Why not?
It's 105. I thought it was like 90 or something. It's a long time, right?
It is a
Our
longer
last clutch
time.
was like 102 days. It was crazy.
That's crazy. I can't
Yeah.
wait to see them. Like, I really, really love that kind of snake. Like that. That's definitely one of my favorite kinds of snake in the world.
They're amazing.
They're unique. It's not like any other kind of snake, really. Like the Boiga complex is just very individual, because like you work with like milk snakes, you're like, oh, those are kind of like king snakes or corn snakes, and it's like, those guys are all kind of same. You know, Burmese pythons, they're kind of like a retic, or you know, some of your bigger pythons or whatever. But mangrove snakes, like all the Boiga, they are not really like any. To me, they're not like anything else.
Yeah.
And even within all of them, they're all so different.
Yes.
Like, I don't know which one is the one that's like a brownish, yellowish, whitish color that swells up really big. Do you know what I'm talking
Could be
about?
like the Synodon.
I don't know exactly what the name of it is, but it's a Boiga for sure, and it swells up like a balloon, and you can see its heartbeat through its skin.
Yep.
And if you feed it, you can watch the food go through its skin, and it's just like this big like, you know, the balloon's toy balloon of a snake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the albino mangrove snake that we have, the white, the T negative albino.
Melanota, yeah.
he is like that. You can literally see, if you hold him up to the light, you can see the major veins in his body. You can see his heart pumping. It's the craziest thing.
Oh,
really
I can't wait to see that because I've been watching that picture for years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
like where did this come from? Who has this? How did I get this to my house?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, that animal is like
every
magical.
time I look at him, he's just like, it blows me away that it's in front of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those things that you're just like,
And the divergence
that's not
too.
real.
Yeah. The divergence, the blue ones, the blue and yellow ones.
Yeah.
Those things, every time I look at them, I'm like, how is this creature real?
Yeah.
They're so unique.
That's some pretty shitty camouflage you got there, buddy. Like,
I don't know, man. I feel like if they are in the right setting, like if they're, perched in the right area, the yellow bands for the sunlight and then maybe the blue for like sky or like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's interesting.
It
really is. It's super interesting.
Well, I can't wait to see everything you guys have. I'm so excited.
Yes, I can't wait to have you
So excited.
When this quarantine stuff is over, we need to have you up.
I'm definitely coming. I'm ready to make a trip. Like, I haven't been on a trip this is like the longest I haven't been on a trip in like 2 years.
Oh,
wow.
So you're like itching. You're like, it's
the
time to go.
Right. I was supposed to go to India 6 days after I got back from Australia, and that all got shut down.
Oh, that's rough. What were you going to India for?
The gharials,
I was
right?
going
Yes,
to
that's right. The
Madras
gharials. That's
And
right.
muggers.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
I
what
was
were you
going
guys
to Madras
doing with
Crocodile Bay.
those?
Well, they have some mugger and crocodile muggers and gharial that they wanted me to come see, and I'm going to help them with their social media program that they have going on in India.
Cool.
And spend some time there, learn from them, like learn how they do their training, because I know they do it a little bit different, and things like that I can bring home and incorporate into what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's super cool.
Yep.
Have you worked with gharials before, or is this?
No.
Damn.
No, not at all. I've never even
Damn.
seen one in real life except for at St. Augustine. I think I saw one time.
Yeah.
Oof.
I haven't seen one in person yet, so
Me
that's
either.
like, that's high up there on my want list.
So,
to see it.
if you can FaceTime us.
Yeah,
I'm just
FaceTime
saying.
I
in
think
India.
they have really good Wi-Fi. Maybe I can.
That would
just
be
saying that would
insane.
also be pretty badass.
Right?
I'm thinking for like later on tonight. I'm like, I'm just gonna go take a look at the baby caiman and just send you pictures.
Yes.
Do it. I will receive all pictures.
Okay, I'll send you mangrove snake pictures and baby boiga and stuff, or baby caiman.
Baby Cayman, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
That's
I'm
stuff
so
that
about
I don't
it.
ever think to like take pictures of. I'm always like, when I'm working with them, I'm just like, okay, I need to clean it. I need to do this thing. And then like when I have people here who get to like appreciate them, then I'm like, oh man, why didn't I take a picture of that thing? They're so
Yeah.
cool.
That's probably the most challenging part is like when you get stuck in the I've got to get this stuff done.
Yeah, I have to get things
Right.
cleaned. I have to work with it.
It's
yeah.
so easy to get into that routine, and then you're like, oh man, I would like to just be able to sit down and enjoy the animal, but man, I got another 25 enclosures to clean. I got to bang through that first before I can actually get that.
Yeah.
But it also, in tandem with that, there's also that means when you finally get to that experience, to have that experience, it's that much more
special,
enjoyable.
yeah.
Because you're like, okay, I busted my ass, but now I can I can get to enjoy the animal. I have to do this so I can enjoy the animal.
That's how I feel about my scrub pythons. Every time I'm going through and like cleaning stuff, I'm like, okay, I gotta clean you. Okay, sit here for a second. Oh, I know I gotta put you back. But then when I get a day off where I just get to like hang out with my scrubs, that like it's so worth it to me, because I just like get to appreciate how smart they are and like get to see them looking around and doing stuff, and I'm just like, you're such an amazing creature.
Yep.
Yeah.
Freaking.
That's what we all want to do, right? Just be able
That's
to
the
hang out
goal.
with them.
Yeah,
That's it.
that is the goal.
That's it. Damn,
That's
really
what I
wanna
wish I could do all
I
all
really
day.
want to go stare at baby animals now. Damn it.
You should do it.
I'm going to have to now. Sheesh.
Pretty much.
And now I'm going to haunt the incubators for the
Yeah.
next few days.
I'm lucky. All my stuff is just at the beginning of incubation, so I still have like another. Actually, by the time this airs, stuff should be hatching out. So
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
I'll have stuff poking their heads out soon, hopefully. Hopefully, if all goes well.
I'm anxious.
I know that this week we're expecting baby water monitors to be hatching out. We'll have little albino baby water monitors hatching out probably next week. I don't have FaceTime, but I will Instagram video chat you.
I'll FaceTime.
Okay,
Jeremy will
team. Yeah, I'm not an iPhone person, so Jeremy will FaceTime you, and that way you can see the baby water monitors hatching out. Because usually it's like 2 days that the babies start to hatch out over, and me and Jeremy have been checking them every morning.
It's true.
Oh my gosh,
the 17th.
I would love to see that. Please,
yes,
call.
I got you.
We will, because it's they're not. Some of them will like stick their nose out, and as soon as their nose comes out, they're out, and then most of them will like make a slice, look around, see what's going on, take it all in, and like assess the situation before they actually come out of the egg.
So awesome.
Yeah.
But we have water monitors hatching year round, so when you're up here, you'll most likely see some water monitors hatching out.
Oh yeah.
Sweet.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. We can go through the incubator and see what the dates are, and then we can
and
coordinate
pick when
your
you're
visit.
Gonna come up. Yeah.
To some water monitor hatch dates.
And it's so weird because like some of the babies, as soon as they hatch out, they're already just like, "Hey, how are you doing?" They're like just so chill, just
so chill already. Yeah, that's
so good.
Yeah, I think that was like that last group of black dragons that we hatched out.
Oh yeah,
like we'd taken a video and like it's still in the egg and you can just pet it under its chin and it's just like tongue flicking like nothing's going on. And I'm like, you don't even know anything about the world. You should naturally you should want to get the hell away from me, you know. And the fact that you don't is odd but amazing. At the same time. Like, wow.
It's just super
something truly unique.
So great. It's like we have the greatest jobs in the world. You know?
100%, yes.
Wouldn't trade it for anything. You know?
We do.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna freaking haunt the incubators now until I see more like we also just hatched out a baby redfoot tortoise.
Yes.
Hatching out baby tortoises. If that really isn't the damned cutest thing you ever saw. Little baby tortoise that's like the size of a 50-cent piece. Like, damn it. That little head starts poking out. And he's like, please don't eat me. You know, and you're like, oh my God, this is so cute.
It's so like foreign to me because I don't know if I ever would have pictured what a baby hatchling tortoise would have looked like. Like you always see tortoises when they're like a little bit bigger and they're already well started. But when they first come out of the egg, they got this like giant umbilicus and their shell is super round and everything. You're like, you were a ping pong ball yesterday.
Oh my gosh, that's so true.
But like the first time that we had hatched out tortoises recently, they actually hatched out in one of our monitor enclosures.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because during the winter time we bring our rhino iguanas inside, and we have a big enclosure for them outdoors for the summertime. And the rhino iguanas, we would often just put like a pair of redfoot tortoises in their enclosure because they're all eating pretty much the same thing, and they don't bother each other at all. So the redfoot tortoises, unbeknownst to us, had laid eggs in that enclosure with the rhino iguanas. And one of the guys who was going through and cleaning, enclosures, after the rhino iguanas had been moved outside, we had moved monitors into that enclosure. And he comes up to me and he's like, is there supposed to be like a little baby tortoise in with the monitors? And I'm like, what are you talking about right now? Like, what's wrong with you? And he's like, no, there's like a little baby itty bitty tortoise in the enclosure with the monitors. And I'm like, if there was any eggs in the monitor enclosures, they would have ate them. There's not a baby tortoise in there. And he drags me over to the enclosure and is like, what's that? And I'm like, oh, that's a baby redfoot tortoise. And it had literally incubated in the enclosure in the substrate and hatched out and it crawled out and the monitors hadn't even messed with it at all. And there was just like a little baby redfoot tortoise just hanging out inside the enclosure. I was like, that is really cool.
Yeah.
Because if you had asked me, I would have been like, yeah, monitors would eat anything that's in there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Sheesh.
And the monitors had been in the enclosure for like a month, so it wasn't like they just got put in there. They had time to investigate for eggs.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
That also means like it didn't get crazily like tossed around in the enclosure, like if they were digging or anything. Yeah, that's crazy.
They had to have been in the same spot.
That's crazy. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely insane.
So let me ask you guys a question.
Yeah.
Off topic.
Yeah.
You guys have to listen to this whole thing again and then edit it?
Well, luckily, you're not a terrible guest that forces us to have awkward silence.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
so I don't have to do much other than just adjust audio levels so that it sounds nice and extra crisp and clean. And then I bounce it out and we upload it. So it's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
I just wondered because, like, I love filming our YouTube videos, but I hate having to watch them 100 times to edit it. And I was like, man, they're going to have to edit this whole thing. What a pain in the butt.
Yeah. No, it's not that bad.
Yeah, we just edit out like awkward silences if there is any, which we really haven't had that much of because we're just talking reptiles, which is like what we love doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
So
and I don't get to nerd out with people much, so it's just really fun.
Yes.
I agree, and that's like a lot of the guests that we've had on have been like, that was a lot of fun because it's getting to nerd out with people who are passionate about the same thing that you're into.
Exactly.
Who have you guys nerded out with besides me?
Okay,
so
so
far,
we've had, ourselves,
Yep.
but we do that all the time.
Right.
We just had Steve Tillis,
He works with University of
Florida.
Yeah, University of Florida.
And he also works with Eugene Bissett.
Okay.
And then we had Scott Borden,
Mm-hmm.
who's in Jersey.
He's in New York.
New York, sorry.
New York Corporation.
And he works with carpet pythons and
Scrub pythons.
scrubs and stuff.
He's been down to Costa Rica, did field herping down there. We just did finish up with Ryan Martinez,
Yep.
who works at Zoo Miami.
Love Ryan. He's one of my
Yes.
best friends.
Oh, yeah.
Did he tell you about our trip to Belize together?
We
No,
didn't
we
even
didn't
get to that.
even
We
get
started
to that point.
We were geeking
We were
out
talking
about all
about
these
like
different things.
we were talking about like reptile education.
Yeah,
And we went down that rabbit hole, so we didn't even get to talk about that.
we're hoping that we're gonna be able to do repeat episodes with people, so we can just talk about go through whatever naturally comes up. Just because we like talking about reptiles with people.
I'll tell you this. You should do a 4-way chat with us just for a part of it.
Yes.
Because me and Ryan saw a live jaguar.
That's awesome.
I'm so down for that.
Yes.
I'm 100% down for that. Let's make that happen. That's
Let me
100%.
tell you, we were driving down the road. People go all the time to look for jaguars. I'm pretty sure it's jaguars. Yeah, it's jaguars. And then they never see them.
Mhm.
And then, so we're driving and everybody's talking about it, like Joe Wazalewski and Ryan and me. And I'm like, they're not going to see anything. I don't know what they're talking about. I'm going to look out my side window for some snakes or something we can really find.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And we're driving down the road and I hear Ryan go, oh shit. And I looked up and I was like, what? And there it was, standing in the road right in front of us, right?
No
What?
shit.
I reach for my phone. I drop my phone. Ryan hits the gas. We're
Ugh.
behind it. It doesn't run off to the side. I mean, we're not like chasing it down. Don't get
Yeah,
me wrong,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
we're watching it and it's running in front of us, and then it kind of stops for a second and turns around and looks at us and then goes off into the woods. And it like as if we had seen a ghost, and it felt like it lasted for an hour, but only probably lasted for 2 seconds. And then we
Jeez.
all jumped out of the car and we got a picture of his paw print.
Yes.
That's amazing.
That's so cool.
Ugh.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
It was
That's-
amazing.
Sheesh.
That is so cool.
Damn it. Savannah,
That's-
you're so freaking cool.
Those are the experiences that'll stay with you your whole life.
Yeah, but like you guys could come to the next trip.
Please.
And then we could have
Yes.
more fun. And then we went camping in the middle of nowhere, and it rained for 3 days in our campground, and I slept in a puddle for 3 days.
That is part of it, though. That's like
Yeah.
you got to take the good with the sleeping in a puddle.
Yeah, exactly.
It was pretty amazing.
Oh,
It was an
man.
amazing trip. Me and Ryan had so much fun, like so much fun, crazy fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely got to do a 4-way
Yes,
chat
I think
for
that we'll plan because right now we're like 8 episodes in for what we've already recorded, but we've only released tonight. We'll have
Tonight will be
3
the third
episodes
one,
out.
yeah.
So we're trying to do like 1 episode a week, and so once we get lower on our backlog, once we get airing more of our later episodes, we definitely want to do that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hell
It'll be
to
fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
because
Okay.
he's probably remembering stuff I don't remember, and I probably remember stuff he doesn't remember.
Okay, so we're about at that time. Excuse me, at that time when we got to wrap stuff up. But
Okay.
but before we do, we've been asking everybody this one question, and that is, what in the realm of reptile has you really excited? So it doesn't have to necessarily be anything specific to what you're doing at Gatorland or with crocodilian research, though that's 100% awesome. But anything that you've seen, like scrolling through social media, because we all now have extra time to do that, or anything reptile related that's got you like, damn, that's really cool.
Honestly, the thing that is most perplexing to me right now is, and probably always has been because I'm a talker, is this study that they're doing in Australia with the sounds that the crocodiles make. Because here's what I think, and this is me. I'm saying this as me and just Savannah.
Yeah.
Okay? Just clarifying. I feel like these guys have been talking to each other and probably talking about us for years and years and years. But most of that conversation is going on under the water in such a low frequency that we can't hear it, you know, and we can't see it. So what if we find out that there's a whole entire language that we can interpret and work with instead of against? And I think that that's just the most fascinating thing that I'm hearing about right now. And it's going to take years for them to finish what they're doing. But just the fact that someone's doing it and monitoring that communication and all of that sound is just amazing to me. Like it is, sounds are like really effective to me. Like the first time I went to Cuba and I heard this old man, his name is Efrain. He's been working with Cuban crocodiles. He used to hunt them, and his family used to hunt them a long time ago, and there were plenty. And now he takes care of the breeding program. So who knows more about an animal than a hunter, right?
That's
so
amazing.
And he can walk up to any nest and just point to it and tell you exactly where the eggs are. You don't even have to dig, really.
Wow.
That's crazy.
And he walked down the row of baby Cuban crocodiles, and he made a noise to them, and they all replied, and it echoed all over Cuba. And the sound was so great that it made me cry.
Wow.
So fast forward to like this study on the sounds and how important that is to like understanding the animal better. So anyways, that's my little rant about that. That's what fascinates me the most right now.
I'm
awesome.
So with that.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Well, Savannah, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us.
We appreciate it. It's been a
so
good
much
time.
fun.
And if people want to find out more about you and about Gatorland, where should they find you?
So my Instagram is at Savannah Boan, Savannah like Georgia, B-O-A-N, and Gatorlands is at Gatorland_Orlando. And if you just Google our names, we probably pop up somewhere. You can check out our YouTube. It's Gatorland Vlog.
Hell yeah. I
Sweet.
love that.
And you guys just passed the 100,000 subscriber mark on YouTube recently.
We did. We're actually at 109 right now, and I have a video that I made today that's live, and it is in limbo, you guys. Listen to this. People can watch it, but I can't see it.
What?
That's weird.
I can't see it on my YouTube. I can't see it from my computer, but people are watching it and it's getting views, and I have no idea where it is. I can't find it.
Whoa.
That
is
weird.
Unusual.
It's in some sort of YouTube glitch.
Well, hopefully that gets figured out soon.
Hopefully they sort that out.
Oh my gosh.
All right, cool. So thank you very much. We're going to hopefully have you on again sometime soon.
I love you guys. Thanks so much.
Love you too. Have a nice
care.
day.
Bye.